Yeah, hi, it's me. I'm pissed off. I have been watching a lot of videos about Black Lives Matter and the movements within, the sort of voice those black people are trying to have. I don't understand why some people are just sending this blank check of disapproval to it without trying to understand how hard it is for a lot of black people to be segregated and sent into some kind of reserve, just like Native Americans have been relegated to backwaters. And those ghettos, let me tell you, because I had to live there, this was my place of birth. It's a step up from Africa for me. Yeah, I'm a backward culture. I'm a black, and I'm probably, I should be grateful to be allowed amongst the Europeans and the Americans. Didn't you know that? I should be glad to be allowed to live in a civilized country. I did not know that. I'm allowed to stay in a reserve and in a ghetto. I should be glad. Why am I protesting? I did not protest in London for the Black Lives Matter movement. In fact, if anything was a bother to me, if I must be selfish, because I wanted to go to King's Cross and I had to walk from Hyde Park Corner to King's Cross. That's a few miles. I don't know if you can picture it if you're in London. I didn't actually encounter the march. I think I walked around when the march was basically finished. And what I don't understand here is why I see so much hatred and racism towards those movements, which are supposed to be peaceful. From what I know, it was peaceful in London. I have read a few outfits saying that sometimes it could be quite violent. And obviously, I'm not ever going to condone violence, but the amount of foul language and racism and aggression you had in generic statements about blacks being inferior and savages, that shouldn't have to protest because, first of all, they should be happy to be where they are in America or in Europe. The amount of ignorance you have poured over YouTube and Tumblr, and people saying that this is basically a terrorist organization because it encourages violence against white people. This is weird. It's just weird. I can't believe people. It's actually disgusting, and people are going, yes, police kills white people too. And I mean, I don't know, protest then. Protest against that. If black people are saying, I don't want the police to kill another black person, does that mean that they agree with the whites being shot by the police? Then why don't everybody get up and protest against the police violence? That's what you do. You go and march and protest against police violence. Why should you condemn Black Lives Matter? Why should you call it racist? And that guy, Jesse, did this speech at the award ceremony recently, and that was racist. That was racist, apparently. Beyonce did this thing at the Super Bowl, and that was racist because it had Black Panther's theme. I'm not a huge fan of Beyonce, but is that racist? Everything that affirms blackness is racist. Of course it is, because white people feel sometimes threatened by blacks. And they don't have to be violent blacks, but just being there and saying, I'm not having people trampling me anymore and people pushing me to the back of the queue for a job or for respect or for dignity. And that's going to be racist because blacks are rising up. I just find it quite disturbing. It's like some of those white people just expect black people to be forever staying out back, and possibly Native Americans staying at the back. I mean, those Ann Coulters and those Trumps and the followers are actually expecting other races to be at the back and not saying anything for the rest of humanity. It's supposed to be like that. I have been in the UK for 20 years, and now the UK is going for a lot of political trauma, and I can assure you that equal opportunities is just a fable. And that ghetto segregation crap is just insane. It's out there and it's very, very real and very unfair. A few years ago, there was some horrible things which happened. Black teenagers actually killed another black kid, Damilola Taylor, in Peckham in South London, another ghetto. And it wasn't the police. It wasn't the police. It was some black teenagers killing this poor kid. And let me tell you something. Those violent thugs, I've met them where I used to live. My point is, why do you have to mingle with that just because you're black? Why do you have to be thrown out? Do you think I wanted to go to Edmonton, where I met some gangs, basically black kids, gangs of kids killing each other? I had to interfere in the middle of the day. I was there. I was in the middle. I was caught in the middle. I was attacked in the middle of the day for no reason at all. In those ghettos. Did I want to go there? Isn't even economical reasons that sent me there? No, they just took a look at me and decided this is where I would be at home. It's called racism. It's called segregation. From the Taylor family, they went in there. They came to the UK because they wanted to look after their older daughter who was ill. They came to the UK to look after her, and I believe they were quite well off in Nigeria, and I know it's a different economic system, but I'm sure I would put my hands in fire that these people did not ask specifically to go to Peckham, like one of the nastiest estates in Peckham. They were sent to Peckham, and I'm pretty sure this is racial profiling. I wasn't there, but I could be betting that they would not. If they knew what Peckham was like, they would not have asked to go to Peckham. They were sent to Peckham and they lost their younger son whilst trying to save the older kid because of gang violence and stupid ghetto violence. And there's no way I'll ever condone this violence. This is disgusting. It's vile. The problem I have is why are black people systematically sent to the ghetto just to live there? Black people, Eastern European people, anybody from a different ethnicity than white British is sent to a ghetto usually, unless they have tons of money. You can have some money and still be sent to a ghetto. If you have a lot of money, you can live in Kensington, you can live somewhere else, which is a nicer neighborhood. Otherwise, you just live in a ghetto. It's not based on money. It's based on racial matters. Yeah, how many English white people do you see in ghettos? Are they all wealthy? Why are the blacks squeezed into one corner? It doesn't make sense. You go to a ghetto library and people are acting like idiots. Absolute idiots. You're on top of each other and you have to meet with whatever sort of degenerated prick is there. And if you don't have resilience and extra strength of character, you do become like them. And then the arseholes who decide that blacks are primitives have got their mathematics sorted out. There you are, look, a bunch of primates. Why do I have to live with people who don't want to learn? People who are intent on making a noise at the library. People who are back of the class characters. I was top of the class all my life. I'm stuck with that shit. And of course, now I'm the same level in the eyes of the world. I'm one of them. It's not racism. Yeah. It's disgusting. And then Black Lives Matter, people are criticizing the fact that it's not better run, it's a bit aggressive, and, you know, Martin Luther King was doing better. Well, you know, bring up somebody else than Martin Luther King and do something better. And for a start, can you stop demonizing blacks, and can you stop sending them to the same neighborhood together and telling them to go back to Africa if they don't like it? I think that will solve a few problems. I cannot stand racist people, black or white. I cannot stand it. Yeah. I mean, I am black, but I am a mix of black, Indian, and white. I have all these three major ethnicities in my blood. And I don't like this kind of approaches to life. People to actually believe that one race, one ethnicity is below the other one. And there are some countries where there is less opportunity for education. There might be less favorable environment geographically. There might be less technology. It might be that some idiots came in a few centuries ago and stole all the diamonds. There might be that some people had wealth there, and some people decided that want to colonize and ate up half of the population and killed all the strong men, and then decided to enslave everybody else, and took everything, oil and gold, and decided that now, you know, there's nothing there they can do for these people apart from calling them Commonwealth or something for decoration purposes. So of course those people are not going to have the same opportunities in life. Some people, all they have for prospect all their life would be, I don't know, looking after cattle. That's not going to develop scientific projects. But does that mean they're backwards? Does that mean they should be glad and grateful forever, kiss every white man's ass because they're allowed to stay in Europe, in a little ghetto, with bad landlords, with backward behavior, cultural backwaters? People who can't believe that a computer is not necessary to watch Rihanna at work. It's also to read on various matters. You can Google anything on the internet these days and find it. People who don't carry a pen or a pencil ask you for a pencil. If you don't have one, they start swearing. People who shout in the library, and then the council tells you it's only Edmonton, it's fine, we've tried and we've given up. After all, it's Edmonton, there's nothing we can do. And by the way, do we really care? Because it's supposed to be a lively environment. It's well done, because now all the blacks are degraded and are the same stupid selves because they live in that dump. It's disgusting. I will not have people saying, oh, look, Black Lives Matter. Oh, how hypocritical. All lives matter. Of course, all lives matter. Just a couple of years ago, you couldn't go to a school, and, you know, beginning of this last century, they had people being heckled and stuff because they wanted to study if they were black. People being assaulted because they carried a book and pretended that they wanted to learn. And then you wonder why, 100 years ago, people are still offended if, you know, an opportunity is closed down to them for no reason. I mean, it's disgusting. People are going on about Shakespeare and it's not too historical, too far away in history for them. But somebody says, well, you know, not so long ago, we couldn't even go out with in the same shopping centers. We had to use water fountains that were different. We couldn't sit on the bus. So why can't our children be respected and walk down the street without being beaten up by a cop for no reason? And people are wondering, well, you know, Black Lives Matter. They're saying Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. I can't understand this shit. It's about time this stopped. This whole racial shit is just a joke. And people being hypocritical and denying the whole problem is possibly worse. People denying there's a problem is the worst outfit of it all. It's just a joke. Yeah, racism is very alive. Alive and well. You could be all you want and you could be a cleaner for the rest of your life because of racism. Yeah, as talented as you want, intelligent as you want, cleaner. It's not funny anymore. Come on, guys. It's not funny. Something has to give. People go on about history. Don't talk about history. But history defines and shapes everything. A history leaves a residue. A history, you don't have an identity without history. You don't get stuck in history forever if you got any sense. But history shapes things. You can't say, let me look at Europe and Brexit and not look back at the 40 years of European Union, which Britain was part of for that long. It's not history to be left behind. It's history because it's part of a diary that you have to look at. It's a record. It's a set of records and evidence that you need to refer to in order to state what you're gonna work on for the future. It doesn't mean that has to be the same. You might look at history and decide not to make the same mistakes. But history is important, especially when history is repeating itself. And especially when history comes to bat you up in the arse. I've noticed that a lot of white people don't like to be reminded of what happened. And it would be fair enough for me to say, yes, I know it's not your fault. You didn't enslave people. You're a lovely family. You got 2 lovely kids. You've nothing to do with that. You've done nothing wrong to me or to anybody. You're probably not racist. But don't tell me not to look at history, because history is continuing to insult black people. You can't tell me that history was history and there's a wall dividing history and the present, because history is carrying on to divide black people from white people, physically, geographically, socially, economically. It's just repeating itself. You can't tell me that hundreds of years ago slavery ended and they were supposed to give a mule to every black person, every ex-slave in the United States, so they could carry on, have a prosperous future, at least a chance at it. And if they decide to bury that mule and not do anything with it, yes, they're lazy niggers and all that shit, but they weren't given that donkey or that mule, whatever they were supposed to have with a land and a beast to work it. They weren't given that opportunity, and the world would have been a different place. A world would have been a different place if everybody had been given an opportunity. after slavery. And they were left on their arse, alone with no money, no land, some of them. A lot of them. So that history shaped what we have now. And people are going on about, that one is a racist because it talks about black lives. You apply for a job in the UK and you have to fill up something called equal opportunities forms. Yeah, I'm not kidding, that is what it's called. Are you Jewish? Are you gay? Are you Catholic? Are you Muslim? Like, what the fuck? I want to work in an office. I'm not working for a Catholic church. Are you black? Are you yellow? Why? To scan people. You were supposed to be monitoring some shit. I mean, that's a pile of crap right there. What improvement has it done and how? I'd like to hear the figures and what's been done. Because this is bullshit. You need to know if somebody is gay. If somebody is gay or straight or bi. To consider whether this person is applying, how many people who bi or straight applying for a job in legal firms. Are you kidding me with this? The only way that benefits somebody and goes for you in positive discrimination if this company is applying for funding. Otherwise, it's just hypocrisy. It's just pure and simple hypocrisy. This doesn't benefit anyone except for people who are applying for funding. Oh look, I've got a minority working there. Can I have some extra funding? Yeah, that's the only time that actually could work positively. It's still discrimination, really. That wasn't 200 years ago, that's now. It's carrying on. Jesus Christ. It's so sad. It's so sad, but I also believe in karma. Yeah. Whatever you want to call it, karma, whatever, redemption, whatever, right? It comes and bats you in the ass. Somebody talks peacefully at an award ceremony, they're racist. Somebody walks and says Black Lives Matter, they're racist and they're terrorists and they're violent. Some of them might be violent. Oh look, they're violent. The peaceful ones, oh I don't know, it's a bit racist. It's positively discriminatory and it's potentially violent. Somebody does an award show dancing with Black Panthers stuff. Oh look, it's racist. You can't do anything about race and be seen as positive. Just weird. It's like, what do you expect? Do you expect this goes on for another century and nothing happens? It's just weird. People actually believing that they can just descend upon anything colored and then shit all over it. I just don't see the logic in this. It's really strange and disturbing. And now for when I'm really pissed off because I have seen racism with my bare eyes. It's shot me in the face 50 times and I've been living in London 20 years. Socially and professionally and economically, I can tell you that racism is truly well and very alive. And it's making a lot of people very poor, very ill, very dead. Very, very, very depressed. It's disgusting. It's throwing people into prostitution, it's throwing people into drugs, and it's throwing people into mediocre jobs. I can't read somebody talking badly about a peaceful march and stay calm about it. It's just disgusting. This is what stirs up hatred. Somebody is saying, I don't agree with this, and you start calling the person all kind of Negro, lazy bastard name, primitive name, and you're supposed to be saying that this person is violent, while you're basically stirring up hatred against that person. That just doesn't make sense. It's time to shut this shit down. When is this gonna end? There is no way a white person is coming right up to me and telling me they're superior to me unless they have a lot of height, a lot of intellect, and I want to see a lot of shit intellect going on. Hello, I want to see genius, and then I want to see 5 or 6 octaves vocally. I want to see somebody who's hardworking as I am, who's as resilient as I am, strong spiritually as I am, who's lived my life experience. I want to see that piece of shit come to me and tell me, look, I'm bigger than you, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and also better looking than you. I want to see this. Until then, toss off, because my color is not making me a primate. It's not making me lazy. I mean, if anybody is lazy, it's not somebody who remotely looks like me. I was not brought up to be lazy. Ever. I was not brought up to be violent. This has to stop. In the meantime, all you racist losers get lost. Yeah. And karma is a bitch.